Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start just by sharing a quick quote. I won't read from notes all day, but or from my 10 minutes. But I thought this was really eloquent to describe Bitcoin, and that is, Bitcoin is the culmination of decades of research in computer science and cryptography, networks and game theory, the result of which is not just a new payment rail, but an entirely new monetary system. Now, that's true, but if you read the New York Times or many of a number of publications, they would have you believe that Bitcoin is the evil empire. Bitcoin has been vilified specifically surrounding its energy usage. Why we have experience, or how we have experience at CleanSpark, knowing that that isn't accurate, is that we evolved into the currently third largest Bitcoin miner by way of being a decentralized, distributed energy company. You see, we worked with military bases and United States embassies around the globe to provide energy security. We worked directly with utilities to help them with demand response programs. We built and patented a portfolio of technologies surrounding energy distribution, if and when to buy power and when to store power, when to send it to a requesting module, or when to harvest it for later based on forecasted pricing. We had teams of representatives that literally lived in South Africa, working with the Minister of Energy to design community-based microgrid to provide energy security for communities that did not otherwise have that. Now, the problem with designing these unique microgrids to provide that energy storage, even the World Bank wouldn't finance them, because there wasn't a company or an offtake agreement willing to buy that power when it made sense. So as we started to grow our business, to look and understand what would be the ideal company, what would be the ideal load that could be interruptible and scalable, that could work in conjunction with the existing utility grid, but could also incentivize and stimulate investment in new renewable energy. We believe at CleanSpark that the energy consumption of the Bitcoin network is a feature and not a flaw. The ability to commit to purchase power, to have a load that can be instantaneously curtailed and interrupted, and to work directly with energy companies and utilities allows them the ability to finance projects that otherwise would not be financeable. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about how that has evolved and what that has led to in our company. So coming from the energy space, evolving to, like I mentioned, the third largest North American Bitcoin miner, we've followed a path of cultivating trust and transparency. In November of 2021, we went public and disclosed that we felt that there was a disconnect in energy markets. We felt like there was a disconnect in the price of Bitcoin equipment. And so we disclosed to our shareholders and to the public, we're going to start to sell Bitcoin in order to make Bitcoin. That wasn't well received, because a lot of people in this industry believe that once you mine it, you have to hold it, you got to hodl it. It's the product that we make, and it allows us to continue to work meaningfully with energy developers. So about that trust and transparency, we've communicated all along. We've upgraded our fleet. We've increased our efficiency. We believe that we're building the infrastructure of the future. Currently, CleanSpark operates more than 92% carbon-free power, predominantly in the state of Georgia in the US, and we utilize nuclear power. The citizens of the state of Georgia made a sizable investment many decades ago to form a buying cooperative to create and pay for these massive nuclear power generation facilities. As a result, we allow them to monetize that investment within the state of Georgia, and we've taken a distinct approach. We actually partner with the small communities in which we do business, they make a small profit on each kilowatt hour of energy that we buy. And additionally, we pay sales tax on those revenues. So you'll see facilities that are located throughout the state of Georgia in towns like Norcross, Washington, Sandersville, and College Park, where CleanSpark's sales tax revenue on 94% non-carbon emitting power generates more than $150,000 per month in each of those communities on sales tax, directly benefiting schools, libraries, and parks. Plus, we're a meaningful employer in the state, all the while allowing the utility to sunset coal-fired power plants that they utilize to offset peak demand loads years and in some cases decades ahead of schedule, all because we have a load that will buy the power when it's available, but unlike a manufacturing facility, unlike an assembly line, unlike a traditional data center, if we receive a signal from the utility that there's an event that increases demand, we can literally curtail our load within seconds. So it makes us, all of us as Bitcoin miners, the ideal partner for clean energy development. Now in the United States, when the president was elected, he talked about the fact that he intended to replace the entire fleet of automobiles owned by the federal government in the US with electronic vehicles. So to add 685,000 EVs to the fleet of US vehicles in a system where the infrastructure of our power grid is already very fragile and antiquated doesn't make sense. So how can you incentivize the development of new renewables prior to a grid connection being in place, prior to having an offtake or a meaningful relationship with the utility? That's where you enter Bitcoin. As we've worked with many of these communities, we've built up to more than 200 existing operational megawatts of power, predominantly driven by nuclear. In Norcross, Georgia, we have a state-of-the-art immersion facility because of the active power management strategy that we've undertaken as part of our operational thesis. Our average uptime is greater than 99%. So what that means to our stakeholders is that it's predictable revenue, it's a predictable outcome for our operations. We've prided ourselves on the ability to execute our strategy of active power management and to work in concert with the grid. What that's resulted in is kind of a bit of a disconnect. And since this is an investment conference, this is particularly important to note. When it comes to hash rate production in the United States, CleanSpark grew 233% year over year from January to January, making us the third largest in hash rate production in the country. Now, what that meant is in Bitcoin mined, in March of this year, we mined 598 Bitcoin, second only to our peers Riot and Marathon. The bottom left-hand screen is important. It talks specifically about efficiency, and that's a measurement of uptime and hash rate realization. The reason that we have that type of efficiency is we've taken an active strategy in maintaining the efficiency not only of our fleet, but of the surrounding infrastructure. You see, we're completely vertically integrated. So the panel before talked about the hosting model. We're the antithesis of that in that we own all of our facilities, we own all of our racks, as well as all of our machines, and our relationships with the utilities are direct between CleanSpark and that utility, and it's a mutually beneficial partnership, resulting in that type of efficiency. The challenge for a company like us is, having messaged the fact that we are about the energy relationship, we're about the ability to create and support the transition to a new and sustainable power grid, it hasn't yet been recognized in our market cap. So you can see there's a huge disconnect in the market cap relative to the other indices or the metrics within our space. So we believe that those gaps are beginning to close. And what it comes down to is a function of effective messaging within our entire industry, and not taking selective measurement criteria like in the most recent New York Times publication that vilified what we do, rather demonstrating how we can strengthen the utility grids, how we can integrate more renewables, how we can add to the transition to the new clean energy future. And really the only industry that supports that in this manner is the Bitcoin mining industry. So again, My name is Matt Schultz, and I'm here on behalf of our company, CleanSpark. We trade on the NASDAQ, and my colleague, Zach, our Chief Executive Officer, and myself will be around for the afternoon. If anyone has any questions, we'd love to chat with you. Thank you for your time.